Hi, this is Mr. Thoroughly, and I'm going to show you how I changed the hinges on the lift gate of my 2020 Rav4 Hybrid Limited. The lift gate on my Rav4 was rubbing on the driver's side. There was no gap on the driver's side, and then on the passenger side there was a really wide gap. These are pictures of it after I fixed it. I wish I would have taken pictures before, but you can just imagine a close side rubbing and a wide gap on the other side. I opened the lift gate and you can see the hinges, and there was trouble with the hinges. This is what the hinge looks like. And when you look close at the hinge, or when I look at close at my hinge here, I can see this white line there. It's actually, the metal has bent, it hasn't cracked, but that crack is in the sealant that's around it, which is a white color. The other side shows that white crack also, but not as much. I'm going to show how to remove these hinges, but just to look at them after I've removed them so that you can see how they're bent. This is what a brand new hinge looks like. And you'll notice that it comes with a gasket. I'm not going to put any gasket seal around it when I get done. I might do it later, but I don't know that it needs it. And if it bends again, it'll just make it that much easier for me to replace. And this is the part number that you need to order. It's 68810-0R032. And the hinges are the same for both sides. I ordered my hinges from ToyotaPartsDeal.com, and they had the best price. It was $39 a piece for them. I had to get two of them to replace both of them. And when all was said and done, it's $90.41, and that's all that I really had to spend to make this repair. I purchased this in February of 2024. So the first thing that I did is I used a ratchet strap to attach it to the roof of my carport so that it'd support the weight while I was working on it. Then I removed the fasteners on the top of the trim. There were three of these, and they're very easy to remove if you have a trim removal tool. This is the one that I used here, and I took those three pins out, and then you can pull down that top trim, and it lets you see the nuts that you need to take off to remove the hinges. These are the two nuts that you'll need to remove, and it just takes a 12mm socket to remove those, and it's the same for the top bolts that are on the hinges also. One thing that I found helpful when I was working on it was after I removed the first hinge, I put this wedge, or you could use a shim or something to go underneath it to support it up so that you can work in that area without the lift gate laying down on the area that you're trying to work on. After I removed the hinge, you'll notice that that gasket is there, and I just took a regular wood chisel and got that off of there and removed that gasket. When they originally installed the hinges at the factory, they put the hinges on first, and then they put the gasket seal around that, and then they painted everything. So when I removed the hinge, you could see the bare metal that's there. So what I did is, after I cleaned it up with the wood chisel there, I cleaned it and then I dried it, and I spray painted it. And what I used was just this Rust-Oleum paint and primer. It was a glossy black, and it really matched really nicely with it. I cut out a piece of cardboard and made that so that there wouldn't be any overspray on anything, but when I did do the second hinge, I did it without it because it didn't look like I was having any problem with overspray or anything like that. While I was waiting on the paint to dry, I noticed that the hinges that I removed were really hard to move back and forth. And the newer ones were a little bit better, but I still took some dry lube and sprayed it on the hinges and worked that in a little bit. Hopefully that'll make it better so that it doesn't have the same problem that caused them to bend in the first place. After the paint was dry, then I first installed the bolts into the lift gate part that attached to the hinge, and I just tried to line it up with the old markings that were on there. Then to get the bolts to stick through so that I could put the nuts on, I had my wife lift up on the back of it, and that really made it easy. Then they just slipped into place, and she held it while I got a nut in on each side. I didn't try to adjust anything or line anything up, but when I got done, it was perfectly centered. So I don't know if I got lucky or if it's just really easy to get those aligned when you put the hinges in. I did do both of the hinges at the same time. I removed both of them and then I put them both on, and it lined up perfectly after I tightened everything down. The last thing that I noticed when I had everything lined up is that before, when the hinges were bent, there was a big gap on the top, and now it's very narrow. So it fixed that problem, and maybe that's an indicator to show that the hinges are bent also. But the new hinges, they're great. Everything works fine, and it's like brand new. Thanks for watching my video.